when I hit it. I guess I'm recording, which is good news. The bad news is my notes for today just disappeared. Oh, here they are. Okay, so good gracious. Hello and Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to episode 42 of the Carrie Roldan Show, but episode number 1 of 2016, and on this new platform of Blab. So for those of you who are brand new to me, and there's quite a few of you who I already see here live, welcome. And I'm excited to be here on this new platform and to meet so many of you. But the Carrie Roldan Show, or on the Carrie Roldan Show, we spend 30 minutes or so a week having conversations that matter to the entrepreneur's body, mind, and business. So if you haven't figured out yet, I'm your host. I'm Carrie Roldan, and I'm a wife, a mother, a runner, a best-selling author, and a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. And I connect heart-centered entrepreneurs with the resources they need to succeed online without squeezing the magic of what they do into a formula or blueprint that just doesn't fit. So if this sounds like what you need, then let's stay connected. If you haven't already, which I'm guessing since you're here on Blab, and you have to know, I'm so new to this platform that I'm not even sure like how you subscribe on Blab or how I make my Blab show subscribable. But I do have a place where you can go to subscribe so that I can send you an email and let you know when new shows are coming up. And that is www.carrieroldan.com/subscribe. It'll subscribe you to my email list that I only use to let you know of upcoming shows. I never promote to that list besides to let you know that shows are happening. And it will also ask you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you watch over there. So I created the Carrie Roldan Show because I have stumbled on my entrepreneurial journey, as many of you are watching me do right now. And because, you guys, the road to success thus far has been full of potholes, detours, and dead ends, not to mention self-doubt, fear, worry, debt, marital tension, and personal struggle. And I wanted to share what I continue to learn on my journey in the hopes that it will help you guys too. Because online entrepreneurhood can be a lonely place. But I'm really on a mission to help us connect, which is why I'm excited to be over here on Blab, where the connection is real and casual, because I want us to connect to each other and to the resources that we need to thrive in our business. So those of you who are joining us on the recording or who have been watching us stumble through trying to figure out Blab and watching poor Juliet over here, I want to take a minute to introduce today's topic and my friend Juliet Dillon Clark, who's going to help us on this topic today. But I just want to let everybody know that poor Juliet is hearing voices in her head. She has an echo happening for her and is doing her best. I've heard her laughing away as we're getting started on this, because I know she's just trying to do her best to to decipher all the voices in her head. So I'm going to speak slowly now so that Juliet can get everything that we're saying. Today's topic is avoid common and costly self-publishing mistakes. And you guys, I didn't even know I had made many of these until I spoke to Juliet a few months ago. And that's when I decided and got clear that we needed to have this as the first show of 2016. And that it was a topic that I knew I didn't know how important it was to me and my business until I had the conversation with Juliet. So our goal for this conversation today is that you guys, by the end of our conversation, you will know where the self-publishing traps are before you commit to a publishing platform. So I want to give Julia a proper introduction, but before I do, I want to just introduce this woman who's been sitting here next to me. So hi, how's it going, Juliet?
Great, great. Thank you for having me.
How's the echo? Are you driving yourself crazy yet?
Yeah, I'm echoing too. So it's
oh my goodness. So I do want to make just another plea to everybody out there. If you know the solution to our problem, if you know whose end it's on, like I opened this Blab, but I don't know why she's getting an echo. And being that it's my first experience on Blab, we're both just sort of like fumbling our way through this. So if you have an answer to why Juliet is getting such bad feedback, let us know, so that you can, so that we can stop this woman from going crazy. Because I've been there. It's really hard to concentrate when you're hearing everything echoing double. Okay, so let me give Julia a proper introduction. So I'm going to move my notes over in front of my screen for just a moment. So I just mentioned, you guys, that she really helped me see, like, I wrote a book called Run Yourself Happy that became an Amazon bestseller. But I'll be honest, I don't make a whole lot of money off of that book, and I don't sell a whole lot of copies of that book. And I take ownership of some of the reasons for that. But after my conversation with Juliet, I really understood some of the mistakes that I had made in unknowingly made in the self-publishing process. And that's why we're having this conversation today. So let me give you a proper intro of Juliet. Juliet Dillon Clark is fiercely committed to guiding authors to achieve visibility and book sales so they can spread their message and vision to a much wider audience. Since 2010, she's been guiding authors to connect and engage their audience organically and authentically. Those of you who know me know how much I love those two words. So they can sell more books without wasting big bucks on useless promotions. What sets her apart from other book coaches is her emphasis on building an audience to create a built-in fan base before they publish. A storyteller all her life, Juliet was always the one who could tell parents, the cops, or anyone else a great story to get out of a tight situation. She used that talent to write 3 best-selling detective novels. Today, she demystifies the author platform building process so her clients can succeed even faster with her expertise and unwavering support. Julia is also the author of an amazing resource that I want everybody to get right now. So I'm going to give you a link, and then I'll type it in the comment section. But it's called The 8 Questions You Should Ask Before You Commit to a Self-Publisher. And I really, really, really wish I would have had this before I published Run Yourself Happy, before I went down the road that I went. So you can get that at www.carrieroldan.com/8 questions. And I am going to copy and paste that into the comment section right now. But Juliet, officially, hello.
Hello. How are you guys? Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about the voices in your head.
That's
and so
okay.
Eager to get into the conversation so that you can, I am going to turn myself down when you talk. I'm hopeful maybe that will help somehow.
Okay.
But I really do want to get into this conversation. So when you and I first spoke, like the very first time, you just sort of asked me some questions about, what are you doing? And I said, I wrote this book and I went down this. And as you started asking more questions, you made it really clear to me that I was still leaving money on the table. And you shared a little bit about your journey with self-publishing and how you came to do what you do. So I'm wondering if you'll share a little bit about that now with everybody who's watching.
Yes, absolutely. My very first book, I took to a self-publisher, and I'm echoing. I'm sorry, it's driving me crazy. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, a little better. I took it to a self-publisher because I thought that they were people who I could trust my book with. And unfortunately, I found out that they didn't care anything about my book. They wanted my money. And when it came down to, how I was going to gain visibility, they tried to upsell me on a lot of worthless promotions. And then we got to the back end of the book where the book cost and the royalties were. And that was really an adventure because their markup was so high that I made very little from my first book. It was priced too high because of their markup, and my royalty was $1.59 on a $15.99 book. And I just thought, this is not what I thought self-publishing was. I paid them to do this. I took all the risk on myself. I did all the work. And why are they walking away with all my profits? And that's how I got into doing what I'm doing. I got a contract for my second book from a traditional publisher. And I decided to go ahead and self-publish anyway. And I learned everything I could about the industry. And that's when I found out how badly I really got ripped off. And so I started publishing for my friends, and now it's grown into a very large publishing company. And I call our company author centric because what we do is we do charge you for the production. We help you with author platform building organically and get your book on onto the same Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the same places that the other self-publishers do. But you keep more of your money in your pocket because we don't have a markup on the back side that's huge. So I think, Carrie, when you and I talked, you were going to make almost $5 more a copy on your book. I think that was right.
Yes. So I know you're about to hear the echo, and thank you. You're doing beautifully. And Laura Bush said she tried to find a reason for the echo and couldn't. So I'm sorry. I wish I knew. Somebody is out there is going to help us for the next one. But yeah, I actually make, I think, $1.19 for, oh good, Laura Bush says the recording will be fine, which is great, but no good for you now, Juliet. I think I make $1.19 per book. And I can tell you that I needed help. So I think, first of all, I think we need to back up and talk about what a self-publisher is. So I used Balboa Press because they're a division of Hay House, and it had always been a dream of mine to become a Hay House author. And I believed that they did. So one of the things that they really did was help me get my book out there, right? Like they made it into a book. They helped me with the cover design, but I was expecting, for what I paid, I was expecting a lot more hand holding. They didn't, there was no editing. It wasn't exactly what I thought that I signed up for. But maybe explain what's the difference between hiring a self-publisher and like I did, like I use Balboa Press. That's just the one I'm using because it's the one that I know, from hiring a self-publishing company as opposed to just doing it, putting it up on Kindle Direct or something. Okay.
So there's quite a bit that's different. When you publish your own book, you, and believe me, if people can do it, it is just a lot of work, and most people don't want to take the time to do all that work. You're responsible for putting your manuscript together, for having it edited, getting it to a formatter, having a cover design, getting that copyright done, buying your ISBN, what else? Having it listed on Amazon, and also all of the things in between, building your Amazon profile. So all of those things are things self-publishers do. Now, I'm a little bit different with my self-publishing because I have a lot of education on the way, because one of the things that happens is that people have an expectation that they will write their book, they will get it on Amazon, whether it's by themselves or through a self-publisher, and that they're planning their yacht to the Bahamas because they're going to sell so many books. And unfortunately, that's not the way it works. You have to have visibility that you're building and a niche audience, and all the things that go with that. You have to be building that along the way. And that's how I am different than most of the self-publishers out there, because I do an extraordinary amount of hand-holding because I want you to be successful.
And when you say you do hand-holding, like having had that conversation with you beforehand, you were asking questions to me that didn't happen even in any place in my self-publishing journey. But I want to go just one bit in a separate direction, not a separate direction, but make sure we stay on direction before I start inviting people in. So everybody who's watching, remember, if you go to carrieroldan.com/8 questions, you can get Juliet's resource, which is 8 questions you need to ask before hiring a self-publisher, which is what I should have done before I went with Balboa Press. And I'm not knocking it. a lot of people, maybe that's a good choice for them. It's just I wasn't informed enough to even have made that choice. And I really believed that I was, because I had done a ton of research. And so that's why I'm doing this show. It's because I believe that there's a lot of you who have done a ton of research, but until you're in it, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why we're doing this show. So I know, Juliet, you said that there was a ninth reason that you've sort of, or a ninth question that you sort of just discovered recently. But before we get to that, I want to make sure we go into what we promised that we were going to talk about today, and I'm looking at it right now, which is the traps, right? The traps that people fall into when hiring a self-publisher, or when heading down a self-publishing road. So can you talk about maybe one or two, like, of the most common traps that you see people falling into?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of the things that are really big for people are, first of all, it is overwhelming. And a lot of times people will do an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. A lot of self-publishers they put every little detail of what they do. And I don't do that a lot because I just do it for you. It's not something where I need to brag. Like, I have this list of 47 things and only 5 of them are really pertinent. The rest is just to make us look like we do a lot of work. So when you go through that list with a publisher, be really specific. Some questions that you should be asking is that are really crucial is, what does the retail pricing structure look like? What is my cost for the book as an author? And what does my royalty look like? Now, all 3 of those numbers are connected together. And what happens with many of these self-publishers is they take that second number, that what is the price of my book if I purchase it from you, the self-publisher, and they mark that up hugely. And that affects your royalty number. That affects your retail price, because you have to set a retail price that is high enough that you have your retail price minus the distributor fee, which is Amazon, minus the cost of the book, which, remember, I just told you they've already inflated way up. And what's left over is your royalty. So you have to ask about all 3 of those numbers. Now, that's a little bit hard at the beginning of the project when you're comparison shopping. So what I would recommend you do is just go into them and say, with the same book, and say, give me a pricing structure on a 6x9 black and white, perfect bound book. Now, that may not be what your book is, but at least when you're going from publisher to price compare, you will be comparing apples to apples and not apples to oranges. So that's the first place I would really recommend starting. The second place where people get really caught up is, where are the books shipped from? And this becomes a huge dilemma if you want worldwide distribution. Let me explain to you, because I've republished a lot of books for people who are with CreateSpace. If your distribution is out of one place, let's say, for instance, North Carolina, United States of America, and you are expecting a worldwide audience, which means someone in Australia is purchasing your book, if there is only one distribution point, it is going to cost an enormous amount when they order that book from Amazon to get it from North Carolina in the United States to Australia. So ask about shipping and distribution points. Any really good publisher should be able to print and ship in the UK or someplace like that for all of Europe. They should have an Australian outlet or someplace down in, Asia, someplace where they can print out of and ship. And then in the United States, they can handle Canada, Mexico, and the United States. If your book is shipped out of one point, you're going to have a lot of people complaining, because it's going to cost a lot more to ship your book than it is for the cost of the book. And not everybody out there is reading Kindle. Some people really like that hard copy book in their hand, especially if it's a nonfiction book and something that they're going to learn from. And, I know myself, I will buy a softcover book and, it's my guide. If I have a question, I'll run back and find where in that book that I want the information from. Another one that Carrie ran into with Balboa, and I'm going to mention that specifically, was do you have your rights or don't you have your rights? all self-published books, you should retain your rights, which Carrie did. The problem was there was a clause in her contract that said that she could not reprint for 5 years. So in essence, she owned her rights, but she was stuck there. And there should be, when you're self-publishing, there should be no restrictions on what you do with your book. It's yours. If you want to go sell it to a movie, you know, and make it on a movie, it's yours to sell. I actually received a contract from someone on my second book who wanted 60% of all movie rights, everything. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm paying you. I'm paying you to publish my book. Why would you get any of that? So really read your contract and ask a lot of questions. The one that I brought up that that isn't on the list, I just want to talk about for a moment, is the return policy. I have to be really clear with you guys. And if any self-publisher tells you different, I've got a bridge I'd like to sell you. 99.9% of self-published books will never make it into a brick and mortar bookstore. So if a self-publisher tries to sell you a return as part of the package, a return package, walk away, because your book is not going to be in bookstores. Ergo, you should not pay more in order for the bookstores to return it. It's really a scam that's part of the whole deal. So I hope that helps with a few of them.
Oh my goodness, yes. And as you were talking, I realized that was one of the things that I was sold. I don't think I opted for that because I knew that my goal with my book wasn't to get it in bookstores. Like that would have been a huge perk, but that I didn't envision it in Amazon, in Barnes and Noble or something. Mm-hmm. I wanted to sell primarily through Amazon and through online space. And what I found discouraging was that my publisher made more money if I didn't do that. They made more money if I sent people to their website. Mm-hmm. And so there was no good way to, not that there was no good way, that the way to do an online Amazon book launch was less than ideal. I didn't have immediate access to my, of all the information from my Amazon author page. Mm-hmm. Everything that I wanted to do as someone who's an online entrepreneur and who sort of understood the online space, I had to go through them. And they didn't know what they were doing in that space and had all kinds of restrictions. And so I found it so frustrating that I just sort of threw my hands up and was like, well, just forget it then. And that's what I don't want for you guys. So I'm actually going to open up the seat now. I'm going to try. I'm going to see what happens when I unlock the seat. So it looks like we have an open seat now. So anybody who's out there, I know I normally keep it to 30 minutes and we are at 11:28 Pacific time, but I am going to, looks like Laura Bush wants to come in. I'm unlocking the seats and we're going to extend the time a little bit just because of all the difficulties we've had.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Carrie. Hi, Juliet. Thanks so much for doing this. It's really valuable. I have just a couple of clarifying questions, Julia, about what you said. I got a little bit lost. Okay. The first one was in the pricing questions that you're supposed to ask, and you listed 1, 2, 3 questions you should be asking them about pricing. The first question, I think, was the one that you meant impacted the next 2 questions, and that is retail. What's the retail pricing structure? Because that will impact the cost of the book and your royalty. Did I get that correct?
You did. Here is the formula. It's your retail price minus the distribution fees, minus the cost of the book equals the royalty.
Okay.
Okay. So 2 things that happen here with most self-publishers. The retail price has to be inflated because they mark the book up so much, the cost.
Okay.
The second is, in order to get your book into bookstores, they have to give 54% to the distributor. But your book isn't going to be in bookstores. So most of the time they'll tell you that that's how much they're going to give the distributor. Probably not what they're giving the distributor.
Okay. Perfect. So that leads into the second place where I was a little bit confused. Sorry, I'm working on from two screens here, and I realized
We've been
where do I look? Where's my camera? I'm wanting to watch you all over here, and here's the return policy. I wanted to understand, because you said, now I understood from another publisher that I work with that she does have access to bookstores, that she can get books in bookstores. So I'm curious about that. She uses Ingram Press to print with, and she has gotten, she's an independent book publisher, and it seems to me that I recall that she has done that. So I had a question about that, and if you could clarify. But I also was just slightly confused when you said, I know what happens is if a book goes into a bookstore and it doesn't sell, a bookstore can send the books back and not pay for them. They can just send them back to the publisher, correct?
Yes, it's called remainders.
Remainders. So I'm just a little bit, I don't know exactly what my question is, other than I'm questioning what you say about the 99.9% don't get into bookstores. If you could speak to that, and if you know if Ingram Press makes any difference, et cetera. And if you could just say a little bit more about that return policy and the impact if you're self-publishing or an independent publishing, using independent publishers.
In Ingram, I use Ingram and the other, the other associated businesses with it. In order to get in a bookstore, and if she's gotten in a bookstore is great. A lot of times what'll happen is you can get it in your local bookstore as a local author. In order to get it into a bookstore, you have to persuade a buyer from one of these big brick and mortar stores that your book deserves space on that shelf.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying when I say
local.
Yeah. And let me just go back a little bit. I could walk into Barnes and Noble today and my book won't be on the shelf, but I can go up to the customer service counter and say, can you order this for me? So there's a difference between being available and on the shelf.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Great. Nope. Yep. That makes total sense. Because I have published my first book, very traditionally, and that's, it might or might not be in a bookstore. So I understand that. And you've answered my question. So thanks so much. If somebody else needs and wants to come in, they're welcome to.
Thank you. Right. You look very nice today too.
Oh, well, I had a networking event this morning. I had to be looking nice. Perfect timing. Thank you so much. Although all of these messy books in the back, and that's what I'm a writer.
That's awesome. And we appreciate you hopping in and looking nice, because I know that is the danger of Blab and Hangouts for me is the hop in when I'm like, let's face it, I put on makeup one time a week. I do my hair one time a week, and it's the day that I have my show. Yes. And all the other days. And I can't help myself. So I'm always hopping into other people's conversations in like a sweatshirt and a ponytail and, not looking beautiful. So
well, thank you.
I'm grateful you look so beautiful today. And I just want to say thank you for adding to the conversation, because I think your questions are really valid.
You're welcome. And I wish that I could have found a technical answer to that technical issue. So that'll be interesting. It may have something to do with your system, but this is all good for me, because it's all contributing also to my business and my assistance and support of my writers so that they get published well. And it's really important to me that they not waste their money or their time, and that they get to people who aren't trying to take advantage of them and just who I want to be able to hand them off once they've worked with me and got that book manuscript to partners such as Juliet and others that really will take good care of them. And so this is really helpful for me to get clear. And I'm also publishing another book as an independent book publisher, as an independent writer. So I really want to do this well myself and build an author platform. And as Juliet keeps urging, have it be organic also and such. So I'm learning a lot, and I appreciate you offering this. So if I have any other questions as you go along, I will just jump in or chat. Okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now, do you know how to hop out, or do you want
I am going to press this X. That's what I assume is hopping out.
I'm pretty sure that'll work.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
And everybody who's here. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge everybody who's been here and who's been commenting. Dave Moore, you seem to know what you're doing over here. So if you know anything about the Echo, let us know. I love Dave Moore. Dave, you are like just the most amazing. Found him over on Google Plus. Think he is just, he's like a dream. And want to Steve.com 210. He said at Laura Bush PhD. Hopefully, once I finish my book, she will edit it. So yay for that. He's only been working on it for 10 years or so. Hey, Steve.
Oh, good for you.
It's yeah, it's never too late. And for those of you who have joined us, so Keki's HQ, I wish it showed your real names because I feel silly saying this, but KA Styles NY. If you've got questions, type them into the comment area. Juliet and I are about to sign off because I know she can only listen to voices in her head for so long before going just batshit crazy. But I do want to urge everybody who's watched to the best way to get a hold of Juliet or to start the conversation with Juliet is download her 8 questions that you need to know before going on this journey, because it is a huge journey and there's a ton of there's a ton of information out there. But having gone solo myself and thought that I had done the research, I'm just telling you, get somebody to hold your hand. I don't know, somebody like the lady next to me, like Juliet, who just like Laura was saying, is like a person of integrity who's not going to screw you over, who knows the in and outs. And why did she start this business? Because she got screwed over and doesn't want to see that happen to people. So you can get her freebie. I made a pretty link for it. It's just my website. So www.carrieroldan.com/8 questions. And then Juliet, did you want to give your personal website or anything where how people can get a hold of you right this hot minute and start asking you their questions so you can hold their hand?
Yeah, actually, the best place is over on Facebook. We have a writing and publishing tips and tricks group over there. Just come on over, ask to join, and we'll accept you in. Lots of education, lots of questions we answer for people all the time. We have coaching available, publishing packages. We're here to help you guys. I want to see everybody, have a bestseller on the market and not publish to crickets. So come on over and join us and learn from us if you can.
Oh, so awesome. Okay, I think I've just put the right link to that Facebook group in the comment section, you guys. It's a really long link, but it is the Writing and Publishing Tips and Tricks. It's Juliet's Facebook group, and it is an amazing group. It's so many supportive people over there helping each other on this journey. So you guys, on that note, I want to thank you, Juliet, for hanging in there with the Echo. You handled it beautifully.
Well, thank you. Until I go beat my head against the wall now.
Right? This poor woman. Everybody send her like some really good healing vibes so that she can think for the rest of her day. You're getting lots of high fives and props from people out there right now.
Guys.
Because
that's sweet.
Holy amaze balls. That was fantastic what you just did, given that you are hearing double. So guys, go ahead and just join this community. If you have a book inside of you, if you know you're going to head down the self-publishing path, or if you're like, why do I keep forgetting this amazing name? I keep having to look in the chat. Barbara? Not Barbara.
Barbara, what are you talking about?
I don't know who I'm talking about. Laura, thank you. Laura Bush.
Laura.
See, I wanted to call her Barbara because of Barbara Bush. How
Barbara
funny.
Bush.
Anyways, if you're like Laura and you help authors and you're looking for, you're just looking for integrity out there in the marketplace, you're going to want to get that freebie. So go ahead and get it at carrieroldan.com/8 questions. And on that note, you guys, let's hop off together. and say goodbye. And I want to tell everybody that I will get better on Blab. I'll be here on a much more regular basis from now on doing the Carrie Roldan show. And if you would like to join us next week, I have Julia Steggy coming on. She is just like an internet marketing rebel. She, her website or her company is Wildly Attractive Websites, but she's just got a rebel spirit in her. And we're going to talk about the underbelly of what's going on in online marketing and how and why sort of an amazing, awesome, way better feeling new paradigm is arising. So if you want to join us for that, since I'm still figuring out how Blab works and have no idea how you can subscribe to it because I haven't created the event yet, you're going to have to go to carrieroldan.com/subscribe, and I'll make sure that you get an email about it. And again, if you subscribe to that list, I only send emails about shows. I never promote to that list. So on that note, you guys, thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Juliet, for hanging in there.
Thank you for having me, and thank all of you guys for showing up.
Yeah, it was great. This was so much fun. So we'll see you next week, everybody, and get a hold of Juliet and download her 8 questions that you have to ask. And don't forget the 9th one. All right, I'll talk to you later, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
So now I'm waving goodbye, and I'm going to, I guess, pause